Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Role Models podcast, coming to you from Authentic Collectables HQ in Perth, Western Australia. It feels like it's weird to be in Perth.
It is a bit.
The head of Authentic Collectables. We've sort of been all over the place, and
it's that time of the year, though.
yeah,
Isn't it?
yep,
Like we spend all of about 5 minutes at home. It feels like
it is. Just when the weather comes good here, we
disappear.
gallivant all over the country, and then come back when it's 4 billion degrees for
it has been lately
for the rest of the summer. But anyway, we've been
We've
out
digressed already.
We've been out doing some interesting things, and we'll get on to all of that. Thank you very much for your feedback on episode 10, which was the one we filmed at a brewery, which, to be honest, is
brought some of the product home too.
they don't look very cold. That's the only issue.
No, they're not, unfortunately.
Yes, thanks again to Reckless Brewing for having us there in Bathurst. They're certainly it's a pretty good setup they got there. So that was a fun episode to do. Let's go back to the code word, which was from episode 9, because we didn't do one last time. So the code word was excited. So an honourable mention in the code word competition goes to Wardy 555, clearly an old rallying fan with that name there. I can't stress how exciting it will be when the 2022 S650 Mustang GT Gen 3 prototype arrives. I'm that excited. I ordered 2, including one for my desk at work.
Perfect.
That's what you like to hear.
Absolutely.
A man who loves his prototype Mustang so much he needs 2 of them. The winner of the episode 9 code word was at IH Pisco. I'm not even going to try and say that. Great episode, man. It's pretty exciting to see these Gen 3 models coming through. They are superb. I've got 3 already, and I'm excited for the next wave, particularly the Penrite cars. How I'll fit them in my cabinet, I don't know, but that's a problem for another day. So
Hopefully it's a day that's come and gone, because we've released a few Penrite cars in the last few weeks. So hopefully he's fully stocked.
It's I do see how this works. It's the man who wanted 2 models gets the honourable mention. The man who's got 3 on order, he's straight to the
wins
top.
the day.
So he gets a $250 Authentic Collectables gift card. Good work. Well, let's crack on to the latest announcements from Authentic Collectables. William, what do you have for us?
It's only a small one this month. Mm-hmm. Only a small one. Little Bathurst winner.
You won Bathurst.
Yay!
You won
we
Bathurst.
Did. I did it all single-handedly. No,
Yeah.
No, but it's always good. It's always good to go up there and get a win. You know how much it means to us. So to have Brody and
you
Todd,
were the only man who partied harder than Todd Hazelwood on the Sunday night.
there may have been 1 or 2 beverages consumed by the team up there at your after party.
Yep.
So that was very nice of you to put that on for us.
It was a good party.
So yeah, always good to get a win. Brody and Todd did it for us, which was great in the Chico Mobile.
And it's such a great looking car as well.
Yeah,
like
that's
it just adds to the whole fun of it that they had this amazing sponsor
A
at
local.
the home of Chico, where they make these things. I can imagine that there's going to be some people that just want to have that model just because it was such a great
Because it
looking
looked
car.
good,
Yeah.
just something different, and I think we've got a fair following of Brody supporters in our business after last year and a championship win and all that sort of stuff. So
how do these Brody fans get hold of this Chico Mobile?
So we are producing the model in all 4 scales. Mm-hmm. So we've got the 64th, the 18th, the 43rd. I've done this out of order, and the 112th. Mm-hmm. So you can obviously go to your nearest stockist, place your pre-order with them. You can register your interest on our website as well. So just go to whichever scale you're after, or hopefully all 4. Look for the register your interest button on the right-hand side of screen. Click on that, bang your email address in, and that'll log your interest with us for those. We've also got a poster, limited edition poster that we've done, or print, I should say, celebrating the win. So you can pre-order that now on our website or at your nearest stockist as well. And a medallion too. So to follow on from our sort of medallions that we've announced recently of anniversary Bathurst winners, we've now got a current Bathurst winner as well. So
awesome.
Again, pre-order on our website for the print and the medallion, or get into your nearest stockist and order it there.
I assume you'll stick a 1/18th aside for me. This is my pre-order.
This is your pre-order
now.
You go to our website and you register your interest.
But I'll have to pay for it if I do that.
Yeah. You'll just walk into my office at some point and one will disappear.
Yes.
We will put one aside for you, Andrew. Don't worry.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the Show Us Your Collections segment. Of course, if you want to get involved, email us at collections@authenticcollectables.com.au or share on socials with the hashtag #CollectAuthentic for your chance to appear on the show. And the best, picked by myself, will win a $250 gift card to the Authentic Collectables store. Our winner for this episode is John Hanchard. Now, John emailed us saying that he absolutely loves the potty, great segments and content, and of course the prizes. Prizes are good too.
Lots of prize.
Keep up the great work, champion. So he's butted us up absolutely beautifully to put himself in pole position here to win this one. But he's got a pretty cool collection as well, as you can see. It's sort of pretty eclectic. He's got a few things going on there.
Yeah, a bit of everything, which that's always good in a collection.
Just loves his racing cars. That's what we like to see. So congrats,
absolutely.
John. There's $250 worth of Authentic Collectables gift cards coming your way, so you can add to that collection. Well, let's have a chat about some of the news that's kicking about in the world of motorsport at the moment. We've just come off the back of a triple header in Formula One.
It feels like it too.
Yeah, Will has, well, particularly some of the time zones for these races were brutal. Mind you, the way that they kind of changed that schedule for Brazil worked out quite well for us in the West.
Yeah. I'm not sure the rest of the country
because we do well out of the European rounds.
Yeah.
But, man, we get hammered for those American ones. Yeah. Whereas they start to play into the East Coast quite nicely. They're sitting there having their breakfast, whereas it's still very much the middle of the night. But it worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah.
And
what like last night's race, what a race it was.
Well, both were quite interesting. Like everything was quite interesting, to be honest. From like Oscar pulling that lap out in sprint quali to take pole, to then obviously the bit of a shuffle between the McLarens in the sprint race
and how it played and when it played.
Yep. And then the madness that was the wet weather running
on Sunday
to do the qualifying and the race itself. You know, it sort of all looked so good for Lando when he won the sprint race. And it all looked so good for Lando when he qualified on pole. Was it pole? Yes.
He's up the front.
Yeah, he took pole. Yep. And
Max
was absolutely nowhere. And we've basically left Brazil with Max almost having sealed the championship.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing day.
How did that happen?
Played. Particularly when, in quali, it looked like Lando was going to miss the cut in Q1.
Yeah, that was a ride in itself.
Yeah. Then Q2, obviously, Max dropped out.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the grid penalty as well.
Yeah.
For the engine stuff. So, yeah, it sort of was all playing into Lando's hands, and then
the
guy
let it
all fall through.
Whatever you think about Max, and whatever question marks you might have over some of his, let's say, ethics when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing, man, he's good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's just so good.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to knock him for that.
There's a reason why he's got 3 world championships and he's about to become a 4-time world champion. It's because he is just so good.
Just a machine.
Yeah.
Just a machine. And that plays into the ethical part you talk about. Like, it is just simply because he is a machine.
Yeah.
And you ain't going round, you ain't going through, you ain't going over. He'd rather take you out.
Yeah. But the thing is, when he actually wants to go and race really cleanly, he does that as well. And he just storms through the field and does it without any sort of controversy. No. Obviously, there was a little bit of luck with the red flag and some tyres and that sort of stuff. But you make your own luck, and he put himself in a position to win that race and then won it very comfortably, which is absolutely insane performance.
It was the way in that last sort of 10, 15 laps, whatever it was, where he pulled out that 19-second gap. Like it just methodical.
And in those tough conditions where it's so easy to make a mistake, to just not make a mistake for a whole race
as proven by Lance on the
warm-up lap. Which is
very easy to make a mistake.
Yeah, so it was it was a while, and even that qualifying session was just with people throwing cars into the fence, like,
and then only having the few hours because quali dragged. It felt like it was about 2 hours on its own.
Yeah,
which just shortened up the gap of being able to fix things to the point where Williams couldn't fix one of the cars.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, it was one of those just incredible races to watch, and one of those incredible performances from a driver. Yeah. It's just a bit of a shame that it's kind of almost killed the world championship fight, if there really was one or whatever. Because
I'm not entirely sure there was one anyway.
No, I think that was always going to sort of go the way that it is almost definitely going to go now. But I think next up is Las Vegas, which is always an interesting one. You never quite know who's going to do what there.
Last year, that was a pretty good race in itself. Actually, just wheel to wheel racing type race.
Yeah. Weird
that'd
event.
be good.
Weird event.
And then Qatar, we completely miss because it's all the wrong time zone again for us.
Yep.
And then Abu Dhabi, and then we can really have the rest of the year off.
Yep. So that's F1 covered off there. What's happening in supercars? We got a bit of
Championship over. Don't need to worry about that. Next.
yeah. Well, it hasn't gone great for you.
Hasn't. We got a Bathurst win though. Yeah.
If we wanted a reason why we need finals in supercars, like this year's championship is the perfect example of why we desperately need it, because we have a situation where the title's basically done. It's not quite done, but it's basically done. And we go to Adelaide with no real excitement.
No.
Particularly when they're coming out of the same team.
Unless you're a Will Brown fan and you're a Triple Eight fan, in which case you're very, very happy with how it's all played.
Correct. But outside of
that,
there's, it's nice to know that in 12 months' time we'll be heading to Adelaide going, wow, we have a fight on our hands. Like someone has to go out and actually win this thing.
At least Adelaide is still one of those events that you just have to be a part of, watch, be there, however you consume it. Yeah.
And winning it's special. So whoever, winning the Adelaide 500 still means something. Yeah. So there's still something for people, for the drivers to play for. But it's not. I mean, again, like you say, Will deserves to be in the position that he is in. He's had an amazing year and he's done a brilliant job. But we really
and even in finals, he would still be in this position.
Yes, he would go there.
He would still be going in with a lead of
correct
some description.
Yeah.
But it means he's going to have to work for it.
Yeah, but that's
in the last race of the year, which you should have to anyway.
Yeah. So that's we've pretty much got a constructors championship sewn up. Drivers is pretty much sewn up. It's only Will, or if he has an absolute shocker, Brock could nab it, but you wouldn't think that's going to happen because that's just not Will's style to go and do something silly. I think he'll get through it fairly unscathed.
And we get to get dirty.
Yes, get to go sprint car racing.
Get to go sprint car racing, which that'll be fun.
That'll be I'll be sitting in the air conditioned bit up the front of Jason Pride's truck. I reckon that's where
possibly.
I plan to be sitting. No, it's going to be cool to see.
Yeah,
I don't really have no idea how that's going to play out, or how it's going to look or feel or whatever.
No.
So,
and that's going to be the exciting part.
Yep. Yeah, no, that will be a whole bunch of fun. There's a bit of movement in the co-driver market. Well, actually, we should probably go one step back from that and say that we do know now that Mark Winterbottom will not be on the grid full-time in 2025. Yep. It was a very odd kind of announcement that wasn't like it's a retirement that wasn't quite a retirement. He's not quite ready to fully commit to the fact the full-time dream is over forever, but there was still sort of a sense of it's the end of an era in the announcement. It was all a little... Yeah, don't even know what the word is. It's sort of hard to read on where he sort of sits in terms of his future, but at least for next year, we know he won't be on the grid full time. Well,
and because we sort of thought that there may have still been at least one or two seats that
I was a little surprised. I really thought that a pathway would open up to get him back on the grid. I didn't sort of feel like it was the end of that journey for him, but. He's obviously made the decision that whatever options were there weren't to his liking, or they couldn't get solidified quickly enough. There's been a lot of talk. Obviously, like BJR was the obvious potential home. There's been a lot of talk about the ownership of BJR and what's happening there. And obviously, whatever was potentially in the works wasn't concrete to the right extent at the right time for him to make that commitment.
And like many of these blokes, you get to a point of, would you rather go and find a plum co-drive seat that really puts you in the frame for potentially getting, what is next year, your Enduro Cup, your Bathurst win? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to kind of toil away with some gear that may not be 100% to your liking all the time? He's probably made the right call.
Well, look, it's every indication at the moment is that he'll be with Cam Waters at those endurance races next year, which should be a pretty good place to be. Yep. Tickford go pretty good at the bend usually. Yep. Although Tommy Randall's kind of the bend specialist, to be honest. So that might be the car to be in for the new enduro at the bend. But heading to Bathurst with Cam would be a pretty exciting prospect, I would think. And there's it's a nice story. Frosty comes back to Tickford, back into a Ford, back into the team that he spent so many years at. So
home in inverted commas.
Yeah, so it's so that's pretty exciting.
If that's how it plays.
Yeah, I think there's a fairly good chance that's exactly how it's gonna how it's going to play out. It seems that James Moffat has at least been offered the other seat at Tickford, so some change there. Seems like there's some change coming at WAU with looks like Jaden Ojeda could slot into that outfit at the expense of Lee Holdsworth, who had kind of a bit of a tough enduro campaign this year. Not disastrous, like he's a bloke who knows how to do the job, but
Sandown was probably, that was a little tough, but the 1000 sort of wasn't.
Yeah, but so it seems that there's some change there with Juice, who did do a great job with Erebus.
Yes.
Getting his shot back at WAU. He did a wildcard program with them a couple of years ago, so he's had an association there. And then Lee, it seems, will head in another reunion, head back to Team 18.
Yep.
To partner Davey Reynolds.
Which would be a good little combo.
Good combo.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting, Lee going back to Team 18 because he was there for a long time. And, from memory, it was a little messy when he left. The relationship had kind of run its course there.
Glad you didn't say a little frosty. That would have not played.
I wouldn't do that. So that's an interesting move as well. But yeah, any time you can team up with David Reynolds at Bathurst, I reckon you just kind of jump on that opportunity as well. So it's.
And speaking of wildcards, what's happening up at Banyo with their wildcard?
Yes. So Zach Bates is the next super cheap superstar.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yep. So he will partner Craig Lowndes in the super cheap wildcard at the endurance races next year, and I'm guessing. Sorry,
who's that? Craig Lowndes? Is he a new rookie? Is he?
He goes all right.
Oh, okay.
Still goes all right, to be honest, for a guy that doesn't actually do a lot of racing outside of the 2 races
Still does
a year.
Very good, doesn't
he? Goes pretty fast. So that's a great opportunity for Zach. You would assume that they'll do the same thing and do a single drive around as well, do Darwin or whatever. Zach's already got runs on the board. He may well be a Super 2 champion come the end of Adelaide. He's leading the points now after Kai's.
I was going to say, speaking of championships that are still well and truly.
Well, that's the saviour at the moment. Like, that's a beauty. Those Super 2 is going to be must watch at Bathurst. At Adelaide. Like, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
There's 3 drivers.
Of all the places to kind of send Super 2 to a cracking finale.
Yeah, that's going to be good. So, yeah, that's a great opportunity for Zach. He's a good driver, and, he's kind of, I guess he's sort of got boxed into the WAU thing a little bit in terms of like Ryan came up and their driver lineup is just so kind of locked in.
Yep.
There's sort of just run out of places to go there. So he's found an opportunity outside there. I'm sure he would have been well in the frame for an enduro drive as well had he not had this other opportunity come up. But I can certainly understand that he's looking beyond WAU just because, like I say, they have an incredible driver lineup that I can't imagine they're going to want to change. It's locked in until 2026 or 2027 anyway.
And that's the problem with these driver academies, for want of a better term, right to F1. If everything lines up, then you look like you made the best decision in the world.
Yeah.
But in every other year, you kind of get to a point where, these teams have their driver lineups locked in. They have them locked in for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And if you just happen to mature at just the right time, there's no seat at the end kind of thing.
Yes.
And you,
for sure.
you kind of fall out of the mix or have to find a new home.
Yeah.
Which Zach's fallen on his feet by getting that wildcard deal.
Yeah.
But again, then he's got to find somewhere beyond that.
Yeah, I mean they do have some runs on the board with that car in terms of drivers progressing
talent. Absolutely.
We saw Declan get his chance off the back of that. We've seen Cooper come into the championship next year, and that's pretty exciting to see how he goes with Erebus. So, no, it's a solid move by Zach. It's a good move from Super Cheap. I think he's a good driver, and he'll be a good fit. In that car, and they should be. We've seen what Cooper did this year that, like obviously it helps having a 888 car. That's really handy, but it does give you the opportunity to showcase what you can do.
Yeah.
And we saw Cooper do that in Darwin and Sandown and Bathurst.
And he's got a gig out of it.
Having the opportunity in a good car is important for these drivers because it is a way to say, hey, look, I'm actually capable. Instead of people having to read between the lines and take whatever hardware deficiencies there may be and try and extrapolate whether a young driver is doing a good job or not.
Yeah.
You actually just get a good car.
Yep.
And you can just go drive it and do a good job in it.
Yep.
Um,
And again, you've got a good yardstick in Craig.
yes.
Alongside you as
Yeah,
well.
for sure. For sure. Exciting times. Okay, let's crack into the latest releases from Authentic Collectables. Will, this is your time to shine. What have you got for me?
Considering that we've spent a big chunk of this month not in the office with the 1000, etc., we released a fair bit.
All right, let's go.
Gen 3 land, we've had plenty of Mustangs come through the system. I'll start at the beginning saying we are sold out on all of these on our website, unfortunately. So I hope you've already seen them, got your hands on one. And if you haven't, be sure to pop into your local stockist and hopefully they've got one available for you. First up, we had the S650 launch car that DJ drove at Bathurst, or showcased at Bathurst.
Yep.
In the launch livery, we made 456 of those. Certificates were signed by DJ. So as I say, hopefully you, if you're a DJ fan or just a general Ford fan, you grabbed one of those. Along the lines of DJR as well, we had the Davison car from Bathurst last year. Released that, only 240 of those we made.
Yep.
So we released that at the same time as the DJ car. And then it's the land of Penrite and Grove Racing. So we released both of the retro cars from Sandown last year.
Yep.
So they were based on the Moffat Federation XC.
Yep.
So they looked amazing. So we made 192 of the Payne Estra car and 270 of the Reynolds Tander car. And Garth joked with us on Insta about whether it came with 3 or 4 wheels. So we were sure to make a 3-wheeled version for him.
Did see that. That was very clever.
And then we had the Copper Rockets, as Greg likes to call them. So the last few races of last year, they changed the livery up and made them a sort of a brushed copper colour. They look really cool. And they were pretty successful. So Reynolds won was it the Sunday race?
Yep.
Sure, it was a Sunday race.
Yes,
Up at the Gold Coast. So surfboard with those as well. 474 of those, and Grove's first win in the main game too.
Yep.
So bit to celebrate with that one. And then Matty Payne came through and won in Adelaide.
Yep.
Won the Velo Adelaide 500. So we made 666 of those, being his first win in the category as well. So yeah, that was October's releases.
There's a lot going on there. Hopefully you did get hold of some of those cars because there's some cool ones there. Well, let's get stuck into a few of your questions. Remember, you can leave them in the comments or get in touch with us via pretty much any way on social media or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
You can get in touch and ask us some questions. And by us, I mean mostly Will, because that's just how this
There's a couple for you.
Seems to go.
There's
Well,
a
the
couple
first
for
one's
you.
for you. We're going old school here with a bit of a printout. So this is from Marcus Zapparane. How has the process changed over time when designing and making new model cars?
So the process has changed a little bit, not probably as much as you would have thought. It basically comes down to more on the research side of things. So old school was literally taking photos with a ruler. To kind of have some form of scale, a bit like taking photos of something with a banana alongside it for scale. So we would take a million photos of a car, send it up to the factory. They would then use those photos to effectively make a clay mold.
Yep.
So we've bypassed that now by being able to 3D scan stuff. So obviously by 3D scanning, we get a far more accurate base model that we can then go and do what we want. From then on, the process really hasn't changed much at all. When it comes to the decorations on a race car or decorations even on a road car, the process is still the same. We still create all the files, send them up. They're either tampo printed or water slide decal.
Yep.
All of that really hasn't changed too much. It's really just that research side and the ability now to 3D scan stuff. So first question for AVL from Ken McKell. Should the GC return to being an enduro round?
That's a good question. It's not. It'd be good, But the GC can kind of hold its own without it as well. Yeah, you do tear up a lot of gear by having non-primary drivers in the car.
You,
but
this
I'm
year
not.
was pretty good for that. Like there wasn't.
But it was primary
lot
drivers in the car.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So that's kind of the point that it probably wouldn't quite have been as clean. Mind you,
i.e., let's put some co-drivers back in, get some more carnage.
Even when you think that no one really tore much gear up. At the ride day on Tuesday at Queensland Raceway, when you actually look at the cars, you're like, wow, some of these things, Tommy Randall's thing was like just most of the stickers were gone off the outside.
I saw online
of it
on socials he'd apologised to Castrol because he didn't say
Castrol anymore. It certainly does. It's hard on gear anyway, and you kind of see it in that environment. Yeah, I don't know. I think 3 Enduros would be good. I think 3 Enduros would be good, and the Gold Coast would be a good place to do it. Like it's just a great event. I love the Gold Coast. I actually really like it.
Going off topic slightly, how do you see? And we're sort of it covers it off next year with kind of the way they've done it with the sprint, then the enduro, and then kind of the holeless bowlers championship.
Yeah.
But where do you sit on having like the championship and then an enduro championship, kind of like we did back in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think what we're doing can really be. I know there will be an enduro champion.
Yeah,
but it's 2 events.
Yeah, which is
it's
not
a
enough.
championship. It's 2 events.
Yeah.
So even 3, like I think that's where it was nice that it was sort of like it's a cup.
Yep. Yeah. Rather,
like it's not a championship. It's a cup. Like you won the enduro cup. 3 rounds is good for that. Even 2, it kind of works. So, I'm a fan of what they're doing next year.
Yeah.
And whether they call it a champion or a cup, whatever, doesn't matter. You can get way too bogged down in the semantics and that sort of stuff as well. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah, I like what they're doing, but I also I think I like the idea of having a championship.
And having them not included in the main championship at all.
Yeah. And then, we wrap it all up by August, then we run through and have an enduro championship to finish the year. And have it as 3 or 4 rounds.
No, I like I like those big events being part of the championship.
Yeah, okay.
I like that. I think that's a good thing, and I don't feel like I really answered Ken's question because I don't really know. Like I think it was a really good enduro, and I think it's a really good event without being enduro as well. Like I think if you were going to chuck a third one back in, it's or do you want Sandown? I'd probably rather have Sandown as an enduro if you're going to have 3. If you're keeping the bend. Because I think the Gold Coast kind of stands on its own 2 feet as a just spectacular event. I'm so glad we never went down the night race path for the Gold Coast because it's so spectacular when you just the daytime and the beach and blue sky and all that sort of stuff.
Mind you, you'd probably get a fair few sparks appearing at night time as they're bouncing over curbs and stuff, which you don't necessily see. But I still think you still need to see the beach and everything. It looks too cool
during the day. So my answer to that is maybe it'll be okay. But it's good anyway. Like, as long as we just keep going back to the Gold Coast, that's all I'm really worried about.
Gold Coast, it kind of, as you say, it stands on its own 2 feet. Adelaide stands on its own 2 feet. Hopefully, if the Perth thing gets up, that'll stand as well.
Yeah.
And then you have your enduros at the bend, and then
and like I say, I go back to being like Sandown will be poorer for not being an enduro.
Yes.
Whereas the Gold Coast, is it really poorer for not being an enduro? I don't really think so. Like but that's probably the best way to explain my position on it. Like, you don't detract from the event massively by it not being a 2-driver race. Whereas I think we will feel that when we go to Sandown, we'll be like, oh, this is a real shame. This isn't a traditional 2-driver Sandown 500.
It's a bit like Phillip Island too. Like Phillip Island's an amazing circuit.
Yeah.
But event-wise, never really worked for supercars.
Yep.
But if it was an enduro, it gives it that reason to exist.
Yep.
Sandown, same thing. The 500, it gives it a reason to exist. And potentially the bend.
Yep.
Moving forward.
Yep.
That gives it that reason to exist.
Yep, for sure. Sure. All right.
Anyway, we got off
We've
topic
gone
there
way off topic. Stephen McDowell asks, I know you're sick of hearing about the monster car, but is there anything that people can do at our end? Can we email the team about it? Contact them on Facebook? I recently asked at a pit tour about the car and got a slightly positive answer. Well, I mean, there has been a bit of positivity in the whole monster
There has been.
Just not for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the team are still trying to get some kind of resolution on this. They obviously got the merch side of things through, but while you can't get your hands on a monster NASCAR, I think we're going to struggle to get our hands on a monster supercar.
Yeah.
And that's just purely, the market. The NASCAR's obviously they'll make a lot more cars. It'll be more beneficial for everyone in the business financially if that got up. Whereas for a monster, making a monster supercar isn't going to really affect Monster too much.
Yep.
We're having a similar discussion at the re the Venom car, a car that we really want to do.
Yep.
But licensing and everything else, it's just probably going to fall through the cracks because we're just a little bit smaller market, I think.
Yep.
If it was, again, NASCAR or something or F1, well, it'd be a walk-up start.
Yeah.
But we just suffer from just being a little too small. Companies are happy to be involved in the sport, but everything else becomes a little more difficult. So not really much that any of us can do other than continue to ask the question, which we do. Ken has got another question for you, and he's hooked on the Enduro theme, which is great. With the past two Sandown and Bathurst Enduros run and won by Camaro, what do the Mustang teams need to do to win any Enduro?
They're going to need to change the track, I think. It just happens to be that those races are at circuits that seem to favour
Suit the Camaro.
The Camaro for whatever reason, and I don't think anyone truly understands exactly why, but it did come up on the Gold Coast again when Cam Waters was asked, like, oh, you are suddenly really fast and you just won that race. And he said, yeah, well, there's not really any big, long straights here.
Yep.
So those circuits with those big, long straights, the Camaros do tend to go better. And, it's not just Bathurst and Sandown, it's like Hidden Valley, like we do see.
There appears to be a peculiarity in the Mustang when you get up over kind of a couple 100 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, so there's so those races just happen to be at circuits that suit that car. Now, the good news is Mustangs are really strong at the bend.
Yep.
So I'd be sitting there if I'm a Ford team going, well, we should have a decent crack at an Enduro result at the bend next year. The issue is, and this is where we've kind of reached this point of parity where, it's one car works at one track and one doesn't work there and this and that, and it's all give and take and it feels pretty even, except for the fact that Bathurst is worth 50 billion times more than every other circuit on the calendar.
Yeah.
So if you're the manufacturer whose car doesn't work all that well at Bathurst, the fact that you're really fast at the bend and the Gold Coast and this and that just doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. We'll lose at all of those if we can just go really good here. And that kind of helps continue to muddy the parity waters a little bit in that, there's one circuit where it just has to be dead even between the two of them.
Yep.
It has to be, even if it's skew if everywhere else.
Yep.
The one place it has to be the same as Bathurst.
Yeah.
And it's hard to argue that that's the case at the moment because the good Camaros did look so strong at Bathurst.
And I guess the other issue with Bathurst again this year, and maybe it's Gen 3 in general, is reliability and everything else has just been so blooming good.
Yeah.
That Bathurst didn't get the safety cars, it didn't get any of the things that potentially could throw the variables up.
Yeah.
That get you that result if you're the best team, execute properly, all of that sort of stuff. I mean, Erebus did that this year. Yeah. They just executed and they got the win. But you could also then say it was pretty easy to execute if you were on your marks because there were no safety. The one safety car.
There was no wild cards.
No
really
wild
had to deal with. It was just
or weather or
it was
any
just
of that.
Take this fast car and execute the ideal strategy,
and they did.
And we're going to win the Bathurst 1000, which is 100% what they did. Which in a way, like, it makes the win very impressive as well because there's nothing that you can go, well, that changed the game for us a little bit or this or that. No. You have to go out and win the race. Like you have to do it, and they did it, which was
1,000
very
case
impressive.
Race.
So, anyway, that's it'll be interesting to see what happens with all the parody stuff in the future. I don't think we're quite done, particularly when we have another car coming into the championship in the not too distant future.
Well, I mean, the other car into the championship could be the thing that causes a little reset anyway.
Yep. All right. Sorry.
But we're going to wait another 12 months for that.
Robbie McGregor, did you guys have a plan to put out a black Mustang without the M word on it if Cam hypothetically won Bathurst, or would you just have to let it go?
It was definitely a plain body black Mustang ready to go. Don't
Yep.
you worry about that.
Yeah, beauty. I would have thought that would be the case.
We will do, as everyone would know, we do plain bodies anyway. But would a black one have magically appeared on Monday morning after Bathurst? You better believe it.
Bradley Cams asks, say you have 420 pre-orders for a model. How do you decide what the final number will be? For example, 450, 480, 500. I know part of your numbering things down to how many fit in a box or a pallet or something.
Yeah,
like that, right?
so that kind of gives you your last digit because everything is going to be divisible by 6 because there's 6 in a carton, which is how you get the kind of strange numbers sometimes, like 666 on that pain car. So sort of the short answer is 420. Basically, we do make to order. So we have obviously our reservations on our website, and then all of our stockist orders come in. We collate them all. We get a number, and that's generally the number that we do. If I'm feeling saucy, I might add a few extra for like a championship winner or a Bathurst winner or something. But for a regular season car, which tends to be the lower numbers that we do, no, it's down to how many we've got, how many orders we've got in the system is however many we make. So a question to both of us from Pants17. Another great pod, guys. Very fun to watch. Got another question for both of you. What's your favourite supercar livery of all time?
I really liked, I think it was the 03 DJR car, the BA with a fair bit of white and yellow on it. And they're colours that I quite enjoy seeing on a racing car. That's one that always stands out to me. And the BA was just a cool looking car. Like it was a cool looking race car. And that's one that really stands out for me as one of my favourites. Not an overly successful car from memory, but cool.
No, not really. That was Max Wilson's sort of era, wasn't it?
Yep, it was. Yeah.
There's so many that we've had out.
It's a tough question, and it's one where like we'll both be driving home later and be like, "Damn it, I should have said that one."
Damn it!
But I'm pretty happy with it. I always love that. I'm pretty sure it was 03, but that DJR car. So I'm pretty happy with my answer.
Well, and you've pinched a DJR car there, which can we both go DJR cars?
You can do whatever you want.
Because really, the retro car from 22.
The Sierra, was that the Sierra?
No. The Falcon.
Oh, the Falcon. Yep. That is
Dick's anniversary car.
Yeah,
and that's we had a hand in that. Tristan, our designer here, marketing basically does everything, dude. He had a hand in that. So it's close to home.
Got a sentimental,
as well as
value as well.
It looked cool.
Yep.
It was a shame we didn't get a result with it.
Yeah, the Sierra tribute look cool.
They look good too.
I mean, it's hugely simple, but
But sometimes the simple.
Oh no,
cars
it's absolutely
the best.
Yeah,
like because even the one you picked, it's kind of got the pectin kind of in it.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't necessarily pick it. It's just nice and simple.
For sure. And to finish up, at Shuey Oz says, "Hey Will, I watch every Role Models episode and always enjoy every one of them. My question is, Erebus did a fantastic Anzac tribute car a few years ago. It was a ZB Commodore. Will you be making that one?"
So there's a few Penrite Erebus cars that we probably still have in the queue to do. That's on the list. There's a heap of those E-Series cars too, because there were so many kind of random people that were involved in that E-Series that had some pretty cool liveries along the way as well. But with that one as well, we'll have to get permission to do it as well through the RSL. So there's some other layers to doing that one. So again, a bit like we've discussed in this episode already with licensing and what have you, it may come unglued because of that. But definitely
Can we help the case by going to an RSL and campaigning in person.
consuming
Over a couple of
some beverages.
cold schooners somewhere.
I'll happily
somewhere
do
in
that.
New South Wales. If it's what we need to do at some point.
I'll happily join you in doing that. But yeah, it's just one of those ones that is on the list, definitely, and hopefully we'll get to it one day.
Well, I think we have waffled on just about enough for today, so we will close it there. Thanks for joining me, Will. As
thank
usual,
you.
Always fun to
Thank you.
sit down and have a chat. Remember to like and subscribe to the Authentic Collectables YouTube channel. Hit that little bell so you never miss an episode. Keep your questions coming in through the comments or via social media. Get involved in the 2 competitions we're running so you can keep adding to your amazing collections out there. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Role Models.
Thanks, guys.